In this video, we're going to focus on how to get into the handstand via a cartwheel. Now, typically when you think of going up into a handstand, you might think of kicking up in the normal way, but a cartwheel is a really nice way of getting into a handstand. It looks nice, it feels nice, and in this video, I'm going to give you several drills and exercises that's going to help you work towards that. Now, the first thing I want to mention is you're going to try and keep your legs under tension. You're going to keep your legs locked out, your feet pointed, your toes pointed, just like a ballerina, just like a gymnast. And that body tension is going to help us control the movement. It's very difficult for us to control what we're doing if our legs and our limbs are like jelly. But by keeping them tense and locked out, that's going to help us execute the movement with precision. The second thing is repetition is key. You need to be patient with this stuff. It takes a lot of reps, a lot of sets, over days, weeks, months, years, in order to get these movements consistent so that you can hit a handstand balance. There's no magic silver bullet. There's no particular muscle that you can squeeze and engage that's suddenly going to make you do a handstand. It doesn't work like that. The magic bullet is patience, consistency, repetitions over a long period of time. The third thing is we're going to maintain an attitude of playfulness and experimentation. We're not going to worry too much about what we're doing. I want you to focus on what feels good for your body. These exercises I give you are just suggestions, they're just a guideline, but you're going to focus on what works for you. Anybody that's been to my handstand workshops, you'll hear me repeatedly say, don't worry about it, don't overthink it, go with the flow, do what feels good, keep it playful, keep experimenting. That's my attitude towards this stuff, and I feel that's what makes it most fun and makes it work best over time. I want you to begin by putting your hands on the ground, and we're going to practice hopping from one foot to the other. Now, the main thing I want you to focus on is keeping your legs straight, your feet, your toes pointed, engage your quads. That's your main priority here. Every time one foot lands, the other toes tap the ground just like a ballerina would. Think of this as kind of handstand ballet. Once that movement is going smoothly, I want you to try hopping from one side to the other. And the legs are going to start to do a kind of windmill kind of movement. It feels quite nice. Now, once this starts to feel comfortable and familiar, you're going to gently, over time, you're going to start to jump your bum a little bit higher each time. And what you're going to find is you're going to start to float a little bit as you transition from one side to the other. Eventually, you're going to start to hit that handstand balance in the middle. Don't be under any urgency. Be content with just a few moments here, a few moments there, just floating for a second or two at a time. And then eventually you will get to the point where you can hit that balance and hold it there and stay there. If you're not feeling confident, I want you to put a crash mat in front of you, or maybe work with a friend, someone who can stand there and spot you. We don't want any injuries. So it's better to be a little bit cautious until you know that you can do this confidently and safely. The next thing we're going to do is practice doing a cartwheel backwards and forwards, left and right. By doing it backwards and forwards like this, we're practicing both sides of our cartwheel. Usually people have a favourite side, and typically they'll do their favourite side over and over again and never really practice the other side. But by going backwards and forwards, we're practicing both sides. Again, the top priority is to keep the legs locked out, straight, pointed, with the feet and toes pointed. That's going to make it smooth, it's going to make it look nice, it's going to make it feel nice as well. Now we're going to try a few variations and try mixing things up a little bit. Let's try it and extend the length of the cartwheel. I want you to lunge as far as possible, reach as far as possible with your hands, so that the whole cartwheel is now several meters long. You can start off small and gradually build up. Make sure it feels safe, make sure it feels comfortable. Now we're going to try the exact opposite. Try putting your hand down as close to your foot as you can. do the cartwheel, and then land the other foot as close to the other hand as you can. Now we've shortened the cartwheel. Instead of worrying, should we do it like this, should we do it like that, what I like to do is practice all ranges of motion, and then we can deliberately choose which version we prefer to do, rather than only having to do it one way because that's the way we did it by default. The next thing you can try is keeping your arms and legs as straight as possible so that your whole body is like a star shape, and then you just tumble over with everything tense and rigid like a star. The next thing I want you to try is to cartwheel in and then push back and cartwheel back out the same way you came in. Now this is tricky, but by doing all these different variations, we're conditioning our shoulders and our bodies to be able to move in different ways, to be adaptive so that they can resist forces in different directions. Variety is good. Once you've been working with all these drills for a while and done a lot of repetitions, eventually you're going to get to a point where you can cartwheel in and hit that handstand balance in the middle and just stay there. There's no rush, there's no urgency. It might take weeks, months, maybe even years. Eventually, you're going to learn to cartwheel in and hit that balance. Once that becomes familiar, challenge yourself with some consistency. See if you can hit 4 out of 4 attempts from both directions. Once that feels familiar, see if you can cartwheel in and bring both your legs together at the top into a straight handstand. This is tricky, but in time, you're going to get it. Now let's see what happens if we crouch down on the floor and then leap up into a handstand. See if you can hit balance by doing that. I hope this video has been useful. I hope to meet you sometime in one of my handstand workshops in the UK or maybe around the world. I've got plenty of other free video tutorials on acrolibrary.com, as well as a podcast in which I interview guest acrobats and ask them about their training regimen so that we can learn useful things from them. Also, I've got my ultimate handstand tutorial, which is also on my website. Ben Lowry, acrolibrary.com.